What's up, you guys? What's up? Here I am again. Welcome back to my channel, Sugar Salon TV. So today, I haven't talked to you guys in a while. You guys know that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to make this another quick, fast, in a hurry, but it's a vlog. And today I'm talking about Sisterlocks. So some of you guys may not know, and I'm going to be dropping some stuff in here. You may not know that I took some training in Sisterlocks, to become a Sisterlock trainee and a Sisterlock consultant. So what's the difference between a trainee, a Sisterlock consultant? What's the difference between those two? I'm going to tell you guys about what I paid for the Sisterlocks. For the training, I'm going to tell you guys about what the fee is. As I just mentioned, I'm going to tell you guys where I went and took the class. I'm going to be dropping all this stuff. You're going to see it on the screen in the video. I'm going to be telling you about when I took the class. I'm going to be telling you just what my thoughts were about the class. I'm going to tell you about the instructor we had. I'm not going to name the instructor, but I'm going to tell you what the feedback that I had or have for the instructor. I'm going to tell you about some of the feedback that the other trainees had and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to tell you, my husband and I took the class out of town. I actually took it in Birmingham, Alabama, I believe it was, somewhere around there. We stayed in an Airbnb. I'm gonna tell you about that. This is gonna just be all about Sisterlocks. A lot of people may not have known that I had took the training. It was kind of something that I wanted to take, and so my husband, he blessed me. He paid for the class. He is very supportive of what I do regarding the business. My husband, he's always been very supportive. So if I want to go take a class, he'll pay for it. The reason I took the class out of town because, to be honest, it was not available in Atlanta. The Atlanta classes go fast. But just to tell you guys, really briefly, why was I kind of interested in it, in a few things. So number one, I respect the brand. I really respect the Sisterlock brand because I know the owner or the founder. She's from California. I don't know her personally. I will drop her name. Most of the stuff I'm going to be talking about, just look on the screen because I'm going to be putting it on the screen. Instead of writing it all down in my notes, it'll be just easier when I edit the video to just put it in the screen. You guys can see it. That way you can see it on the screen. But anyway, I've owned a business for a long time now, since about 2006. So I understand about business ownership. I understand how you have to protect your brand. I understand how people can take advantage of your brand. I get it, owning a business, but I respect the brand. She came out with this brand many years ago. I'm going to put that in here as well. And then I'll drop some stuff, down in the description box as well. So number one, I respect the brand. I respect too the fact that she has a trademark. It's not cheap to get something trademarked. I will tell you guys about that. I will also drop it down in the description box about, how much it costs to get something trademarked, and I can put a link there too. But it's not, it's not cheap to get something trademarked. So I respect that because, again, I understand about trying to keep your brand protected, and also I understand about your intellectual property. Because you guys, you can come out with something, or you can come up with something, people can copy it, they can. People can, it could be copyright infringement. People can copy what you do. They can mimic what you do. They can take your idea. They can make it your own. That's why in law it's called intellectual property. But You know, you have to do things as a business owner to protect your intellectual property. And sometimes people do things, you know, they may take your idea, or they may take, you know, some kind of part of your business, and they don't realize the legalities about it. Because sometimes people just think it's okay to just do this, that, and the third, and they really have not even looked into the fact that, okay, this could be illegal. Or they can see this one over here doing it, so okay, let's all get in cahoots and let's do it. Let's all join forces and let's do it. You know, but you can't just take, steal, defame, embezzle. You know, you cannot do all this stuff against businesses. There's laws out here that protect small businesses. And even if you now own a small business and you may have wronged a business owner or did something to a business owner that you didn't even know that they were legalities to it, because anytime you're taken from anybody and it doesn't belong to you, then, you know, that's just common sense. If you're taking something from someone and it does not belong to you or whatever, it's even more so in business, because there's so many laws. You know, you may feel like it's all well and good. You may feel like, okay, if I ask a customer and they say it's okay, then I'm all well and good. You may feel like, okay, this one over here did it, so I'm going to do it too. You may feel like you're good with that. It may be 10 people who do it, so you may be like, oh, I'm all well and good because them other 9 people, they did it. No, the best thing to do when it comes to business, if you're not sure, then in my opinion, my best advice is to ask a lawyer. You know, one thing about an attorney or a lawyer, usually you can call them up and they can give you like a 20-minute, 30-minute consultation for free. You know, nowadays we have Google stuff that we didn't have when I was young. You know, you can Google and you can find stuff out, but don't just go with the crowd. Don't just follow the crowd. You know, dare to be different, you know, and don't just put that seed in the ground. You know, always just remember the golden rule: to do unto others as you would have others do unto you. If you follow some of those simple rules that your parents should have told you or should have raised you up on, your grandparents, you know, that kind of thing. And then, you know, to take what's not yours. And then sometimes you can feel like, but how is it wrong to take a client? The client wanted to come and da-da-da-da-da. But again, in business, it don't go by what you think. It doesn't go by how you feel. It doesn't go by if the client said, okay. It goes by laws. It goes by agreements. It goes by verbal agreements. It goes by this thing called intellectual property. And it's so many legal terms out there now where, you know, there's also a law. Even if you have not signed anything, you know, there's laws out there to still protect a business, you know, because, you know, I can't think right now off the top of my head because I didn't know I was going to take this rabbit trail, but it all goes under the intellectual property that I mentioned. It's a thing where you cannot, it's a term where even if you didn't sign any kind of agreement with a business owner, you know, you're considered an agent legally of the company if you work for a business. And so you're supposed to always, as the agent of the business, look out for the business and not do anything that's going to jeopardize that business from remaining in business, and also not going to affect the business in a negative way, like their revenue, even if you have not signed anything. If I think of the term, I'll put it on the screen. I'll actually look it up, but there's actually a legal term for that. So when I actually, you guys, went to take the class, I went in Birmingham, Alabama, as I mentioned a few seconds ago. The one I'm in Atlanta. If you don't know, if you're new to the channel, thank you, welcome. But I'm in Atlanta, and the classes in Atlanta, they go pretty fast. So I end up going to Birmingham, Alabama. The class, when I took it a few years ago, I'm going to drop all this stuff in the comments below. And to be honest with you guys, I took the class and it was $1,500. So paid for the class, so that was $1,500, and then it cost money, of course, to drive to Alabama, even though it's not that far from Atlanta. So we had that cost. Then we stayed in an Airbnb. I will put in the comments. I'll put a picture of the Airbnb we stayed in and all of that. I'll give you guys all the juicy details. So stay in a Airbnb and all of that. So why did I stop doing Sisterlocks? Well, one of the reasons that I stopped doing Sisterlocks is I feel like people don't come in as frequently as needed. Now, I just starting out after I took the class and everything, I have a client who's a long-time client. She's been coming to me forever, even before the Sisterlock brand. So I would say she's been coming to me since about right before the Sugar Salon brand. So maybe like since the end of 2007 or right before I opened my storefront in 2008. And right after I took the class, she wanted me to do some locks. So I didn't do Sisterlocks on her. And her hair is on the finer side, so I made them bigger. I'll put a picture up here to let you guys see. So I just feel like people don't come in as frequently. Now, how often and how frequent do they recommend that you come in for Sisterlock? Reties, they call it, a retie. They don't call it a retwist, they call it a retie. So, to me, or according to Sisterlock, you're supposed to come in and get the retie about every 6 weeks to every 8 weeks, which is every month and a half to 2 months, and that's pretty frequent. Now, I had already made up in my mind after I took the class and I saw how long it takes to do the establishment. Like, they don't call it starting locks like you regularly do when you start locks. They call it an establishment. It's something, so the terminology, the lingo is extremely different than dealing with the traditional locks. So, to be honest, it's called establishment. It's called an establishment. That's what they call it. So it's a certain way that you have to do it. Now, once you go in and you take the training like I did, and the class was a 2-day class, and then part of the class was because it was during COVID, so we went in. They call it a blended class. Blended. That's the type class I took, which you do 2 days online of classes, and then you do 2 days in person. So I think it's really like a 4-day class, I believe. Or I don't know how many days it takes when you do it in person. It may be 2 days. But I know for me, I took the blended class, which was 2 days online and then 2 days in person. So the 2 days in person, as I mentioned, that was in Birmingham. It was a very long class. It started pretty early, so I'm going to tell you guys that information up on the screen and down below. So again, it was $1,500. So to me, the once people have a sister or brother locks, in my opinion, at least the clients that I was having, some of them, they was not coming in as frequently as needed. Again, they recommend you get the retie every 6 to 8 weeks. It just depends, because sometimes your hair grow a lot. Like, some people's hair grow really fast. One client I had waited 7 months because the client was actually going to cut them off, but decided to keep them, and then came in to me and got a retie and had not had a retie in 7 months. So I'm not saying everybody waits 7 months, but I'm saying this particular client waited 7 months. So again, most of the clients who I was doing, they were waiting well over the 6 to 8 weeks. They were waiting about 3 months, 4 months, or longer in some situations. And like I said, when you're doing the sister locks or brother locks, there's so many and they're so small, and you have to go in and you have to retighten each one. And so that's why Sisterlock consultants, that's why our trainees, you know, they charge way more if you go over that 6 to 8 weeks um, of time frame before you get the retie, because in all actuality, they're going to be on your head a while. So that's one reason. And then another thing too, you guys, that I was finding when people were coming to me is that a lot of the sister locks or brother locks, they were connected together, meaning whomever they had went to get their retie, they was connecting or joining 2 locks or 3 locks and making it into one. So they was connecting it together. I guess they just wanted to finish quicker. I don't know. But you really don't know. Just like with regular hair, you really don't know what's going on with someone's hair until you actually get in your head when they sit in your chair. So for a lot of them, you know, I saw a lot of them was connected together, where they're trainee or consultant, possibly consultant, whomever it was. And sometimes people do them themselves. Sometimes they try to do their own retie. So maybe they was connecting it together. All I knew is some of the clients that were coming to me, instead of it being one sister lock or one brother lock, there was 3 connected into one or 2 connected into one. Also, you guys, for me, I found like it was very timely. And I'm a regular licensed hairstylist, been in the industry, you know, over 30 years. So I have regular clients too. So when you have a regular clientele, you already have a solid clientele, as I do, you find it more of a challenge to try to do these type services because, again, if people not coming in 6 to 8 weeks, if they're waiting way too long, then you're spending a lot of time. You almost got to take out a whole day just to service them. I didn't even have the availability like that to have people come in, you know, and then I'm on their head a whole day or a day and a half or something like that. And then it's a whole lot of standing, you know, with that service. You're standing a lot. Right now I'm in the place where I'm trying to pull back. And I had already made the decision not to offer that. Like from the jump, as soon as I learned them, I already knew that I would not have time to do the establishment, because most of the time the establishment takes about 3 days to do. The establishment, you have to do the grid, and it got to be really precise. And then the square section that you're doing each one in has to be a certain size. They even have this little measuring tool that you measure out, so you can make sure you don't make that square section too big or too wide that you're putting that sister or brother lock on. And again, I respect the brand. I totally respect the brand. I think Sisterlocks and Brother Locks, I think they're beautiful. It's just if that's what you're looking to do. So, Microlocks. I feel like a lot of people have started to call them Microlocks because, you know, that's a way to get out of the trademark, you know, or a way to not make sure that you disrespect the trademark or that you infringe on the trademark or anything like that. So I feel like, you know, people have it's still kind of like Sisterlocks almost, maybe not as small, but now some people are calling them Microlocks, which they are small, but I don't think that the Microlocks are as small as the sister and brother locks. So for me, you guys, it was just something that I decided that, you know, I'm not going to do them anymore. And I decided that, I think the last time I did somebody, it was a while back. I'm going to have to look on my schedule to see how long that was, and I'll make sure I put that on the screen as well. But just wanted to do this quick, brief just vlog about why I do not do Sisterlocks anymore. I have nothing against them. I think they're gorgeous. And sometimes too, I was finding that a lot of clients was having kind of a hard time trying to figure out how to style them, because you might get bored with them after a while. And then if your hair is fine and not as thick or not as dense, you know, as some people's hair is, you may have, a challenge trying to find out, okay, what kind of style, like, because if you start doing a lot of pulling on your hair, or if you start braiding them up, and doing all these little cute styles, pinning them up, you can start causing traction alopecia, where your hair is kind of thinning out around the edges or thinning out, just trying to style them, even wearing headbands or something like that. So sometimes it can become a challenge because you're trying to figure out, okay, I got these, and now I want to change up my look. How do I style them? And there's not, it just depends on your hair texture, how fine or how dense it is, and some people come up, they have like a hard time or a challenge trying to figure out how to style them. And then they kind of get bored. So, and then, to be honest, I think a lot of people, once they decide to take them out or decide that they are done with them, they end up just cutting their hair off or something like that. So, but yeah, for me, it just wasn't working for the type of schedule I had. And then, like I said, most of the people that were coming to me, they had not had a retie in a long time. And so, for me, it just wasn't anything that I saw doing long term because of it being so timely, and I should have thought of all that before, but you really don't know until you start getting into it and doing something. Another thing is, too, you guys, they don't require you to have a license. You don't have to be a licensed cosmetologist or barber or anything like that. And they do have classes that you can take to where if you have sister locks or brother locks, they have classes that they offer where you can take the class yourself and do your own reties. But in all honesty, if I had them, I would not want to do my own retie. I think my arm would be, but people do it. People do it all the time, but it's to each his own if that's what you want to do. But they do have classes and offer classes, all the time. You just have to look on their website and see what type classes they are, what type classes they have. But even to take the class that I took, to be the Sisterlock trainee, it was $1,500 then when I took it. I don't know how much it is now. You will have to do your own research on that. But one thing about it, when you take the class, you're considered a Sisterlock trainee. That's what they call you. You did not become a consultant, a Sisterlock consultant. The way you become a Sisterlock consultant is by taking the class, as I did, becoming a trainee, and then once you become a trainee, meaning you've taken the class, you get that trademark release. They release the trademark to you. If you have any questions, if you have Sisterlocks, if you have any comments, please drop them down in the comments below. Let me know what your experience is. If you have them, let me know if you have had, what your experience has been like with getting your reties or getting your establishment. Let me know if you like having them, or if you had them and you cut them off. Just let me know. Drop some stuff down below. Anything else you might want me to talk about regarding locks or Sisterlocks, just let me know. But now I do color them. I will color them. I've had people come to me, for me to color theirs, and I've done that. I'll put a couple pictures up here of some that I've colored. Again, I'm a licensed stylist here in the northern suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. So people have come to me for me to color them. But again, to take the class and to become a Sisterlock trainee or consultant, you do not have, they do not require you to have a license. So I don't know if you knew that. That's why a lot of them do them out of their home, because you don't even have to have a license. So anyway, you guys, drop me some comments. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I'm always welcoming new subscribers. I appreciate you guys keeping my channel going. Give me a thumbs up. Click the bell. And I'm going to make it very easy for you guys. A QR code that you're going to see on here a couple of times. If you just scan it with your phone, and then you're going to be taken right to my home page for my channel. Just click the subscribe button. Anyway, if there's anything else that you guys would like to know about sister locks, traditional locks, or anything about hair, or anything any suggestions you may have for me, please drop it down in the description box, in the comments below, and then I will definitely respond. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. You guys have a blessed day. Peace and blessings, and I'm going to see you guys on my next video.